Got a story that is coming out of California, and it has to do with something that lawmakers are attempting. And as the stories read, because it has to do with what California law might require when it comes to vehicles in the state, it's said that it's something that if it were to happen, it would be something that would, well, be in every vehicle, because California is the largest vehicle market in the country. And so as California goes, car makers would follow whatever law and adopt it. They say just as California's emission standards are one of the causes of some of the emission that vehicles utilize today. So here's what's going on. Apparently, and this is passed the California Senate, there's still work to be done. But there's a bill that would require all cars that are sold in the state of California, all new cars, by the year 2032, would have to, as it says here, beep at drivers when they exceed the posted speed limit by at least 10 miles per hour. Driving down the road, and say the speed limit is 50, you go 60, and it says beep, some sort of noise would occur. This is to let you know that you've exceeded the speed limit by at least 10 miles per hour. California says they're doing it for safety. California says this is happening across parts of the world, including throughout Europe, and it should be adopted here too. So there you go.
Is that all the car would do?
Yep.
Just beep?
Yep. That's what it would do, just to give you an alert.
So if you're in a hurry, not to condone speeding, but if you're in a hurry, you just ignore the beep?
Yep. Yep.
Doesn't like automatically slow down your car?
Doesn't do anything like that. Nope. Yeah. Just gives you that heads up. And in fact, and this is what I love getting into stories like this, when you know, if to your point, you know, if the purpose is this, and that's all it's going to do, is it really going to do anything? And even more than that, Mike, it says here that though the technology would be required, it would also have to contain the feature that drivers could turn it off if they wanted to. So
what's the point?
Well, exactly. So why have the technology installed if the drivers could just turn it off? But that's what we get from politicians, probably to placate those who don't want it in the first place, so they'll make it an option. We're going to install it because this is all for safety. We want people, and seriously, they do show studies that unfortunately, using California, for example, California, its fatality rate relating to speeding accidents, about 35% of traffic fatalities are speeding related.
Wow.
Yeah, it's high. So again, there's a serious problem. Whether this is a solution, I don't know. But again, we mention it because, again, if California demands it, as the story says, that even though the federal government sets safety standards for vehicles nationwide, California might be engaged in something that would cause automakers, look, if we're going to sell new cars in California, we're just going to make it a standard feature, and it'll be standard across the country. Now, I will have to say, in my vehicle, not that I have a lot of bells and whistles, but I actually have a feature where I can set a tone that will go off at a certain exceeding speed. So, and it's not set to the speed limit. It's just that if I should reach a certain speed, I'll get a tone warning. And I actually have it set, believe it or not,
for 95.
Yeah. It is set for 50 miles an hour. And I have it set for a very specific reason. Because of the time I travel during the early morning hours, not that I ever want to exceed the speed limit, but there are times, which mostly, by the way, I will set my cruise control to make sure, because at that time of the morning, I do understand that there are other travelers who might be on the road at the same time that perhaps might be in a position where they shouldn't be on the road because they are coming from various establishments. I think I've kind of explained it a little bit there. And I do not wish to be stopped because perhaps I've exceeded the speed limit
Yeah.
a little too heavily.
Yeah.
So I do have it set so just in case, if I get above 10 miles per hour. I admit, if I'm like going along Bay Road, the speed limit is 40. I'm probably doing 45, and I set my cruise control just to make sure I stay that way. No need to draw attention to myself. I'm simply going to work, and I have been stopped before, and I must say, there are times when I think because of the time of the morning, and I've made lane changes, which I always thought were appropriate, but, one thing leads to another, but usually when I talk to the officers and explain what's going on, they understand, okay, yeah, you're going to work.
Yeah.
But,
I wonder if penalties, if this were to become a nationwide thing, if penalties would be stiffer for speeding. Like if you're speeding now, let's say you're doing like 85 on I-75, and you get pulled over, and the officer says, "Do you know how fast you were going?" You could plead ignorance, like, "Oh, I wasn't even paying attention." No, and I mean, you might get a ticket, but it may be just a warning. But if there's a feature in your vehicle that alerts you when you're going too fast, and then you get pulled over, and the officer says, "Didn't you hear the beeping in your car?"
Well, you know what the response will be, of course. "No, I'm sorry, officer. I had it turned off."
Yeah, right.
I didn't hear it because it wasn't going off because I had it turned off. That's an interesting thought, though. I mean, going back to if they didn't have it turned off, you'd have to acknowledge. And it would, by the way, it would rely on technology known as intelligent speed assistance, using GPS technology that would compare road speeds. Because the question is, one road you're going on might have a speed limit of 35. Next road you're on the highway, it's got a speed limit of 70.
Yeah.
But they would use technology to know that the road they're traveling, what the speed limit is. That's how your car would know whether or not to beep or not if you did go 10 miles above.
I didn't hear the beeping, officer. I was too busy listening to my horn went beep, beep, beep.
Yes. We got to play that. I've got it set, the old song. Well, there you go. And we'll find out if it goes anyplace. But it is something that the Senate in California has passed. It still moves to the legislature. And whether or not it would be something that passes and then could ultimately affect all vehicles that we drive. Of course, next question would be, is it something that technology could easily be utilized, or would that further add to the costs of new vehicles too? There's nothing in here that mentions what it costs to make this type of technology available.